So I had a trip planned to Japan with my girlfriend at the time, and yeah, after 5 weeks in Japan, I was like, hey, I'm just gonna like pop over to North Korea real quick since we're in the neighborhood.
What's up, nomads? Welcome to your new favorite travel podcast, Two Beers Till Takeoff, the podcast that delivers expert knowledge, the information you won't get in your guidebooks, and a story that's guaranteed to make you say, what the fuck, or your money back.
B, you know our episodes are free, right?
Hello and welcome to Two Beers Till Takeoff. My name is Phil, and I am here with my guest, Brady from Western Canada. Currently a commercial diver in New Zealand, he has been to every inhabited continent and visited nearly 50 countries. And the guy's only 25. Are you serious? During his travels, he's found himself cast in Bollywood movies in India, getting cut off in North Korean karaoke bars. Yes, I said North Korea, not South Korea. And covered in his own shit in Eastern European city squares. Get this guy an IMDb page and some Depends. Welcome to the show, Brady.
Thanks for having me. No, I'm excited to be here.
What's going on with you, dude? You're in New Zealand right now? And in your car?
I'm sitting in my car in New Zealand because it's the quietest place I could find. Downtown Auckland right now. Been in New Zealand about 2 weeks, and liking it. Probably do 2 years here. We'll see.
2 years, and you're working there as a commercial diver. I think I gotta pun it right up and say we gotta dive into that because that's not something that you often hear, that people's profession are a fucking commercial diver. How'd you get into that?
So basically, I was traveling around and I couldn't really figure out what I wanted to do with my life in like my early 20s and late teens, and I kind of thought one day if I was traveling, I would find something I wanted to do through that, and it didn't happen. I just couldn't bring myself to commit to 4 years of school because I felt like if I did it and then I might regret it, or I might not want to do it after 4 years. So I was kind of just
it's fucking forever. Expensive.
Yeah, bro, it's so expensive. So I was kind of stuck forever, just couldn't figure it out. And then during COVID, I saved a bit of cash, and then one of my close friends is a diver, and he's like, man, I think you should do it. It'd be fun. I didn't really want to do it because, like, you know, you're in 10 feet of black water and you can see like maybe your hand, and it's not like we're like looking at turtles and shit. But it's been a fun job. It's worked well with my lifestyle. I mean, I'm able to bring it over here. It pays pretty good, and thankfully right now, like in every industry, there's a lot of fucking work. So yeah.
Right. So listen, I know that you get paid to dive, but I don't know what you get paid to dive to do. So what exactly are you doing while you're underwater?
Yeah, that's we do all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's such a broad range of things. Like there's the old saying, it's kind of cheesy, that every diver is MacGyver, because you can just like literally do any sort of little parts of different trades you have to be able to do. Like I just did a big job where we did a bunch of surveying in the port of Vancouver, and had to like, you know, see how much the fucking jetty and stuff had moved, and doing testing on the thickness of the piles. But then there's other stuff. You can work in aquaculture. A lot of my friends do like harvesting out west in Canada, doing like urchins and stuff like that. You can work in construction. You can even work in like the film industry and do like underwater filming if you have your commercial ticket and stuff like that. Yeah, it's a very, very broad range of things you can do. I'm the company I'm trying to get on with here, which I think I kind of got it, is they do a lot of salvage, but like all kinds of stuff. They told me they're in like sometimes in 150 feet of water, like pulling anchors off the ground, but also they like do work in like domestic pools that people have in their backyard in like 4 feet of water. So it's pretty broad.
Yeah, and I mean it's with going underwater, the deeper you go, the more there is pressure, and you have to, when you're coming back up. Like I've only dove once, and I know that the ear shit is that if you go back up too quickly, that it can be potentially like fatal. Correct?
Oh yeah, you can 100% die. You can get what we call bent, and if you have too much nitrogen in your body. Yeah, you can either like be very like crippled, or you can die, or you can have it. It's a very large range of things that can happen to you. But yeah, it's pretty fucking heavy. It's not something you want to get. And then you can also have in my opinion, the scariest shit because it just seems a lot harder to prevent. Is if you like have air in your lungs at the bottom and you keep that air in there, then as you go up, that air is going to expand and that air needs somewhere to go. So it's literally going to burst your lungs. And then the air can go anywhere in your chest, in like your neck. It can go all the way to your brain too, through your arteries. And it's
What the
fucking pretty
fuck?
grim. It's not common, but yeah, like, and that's all you'd have to do that is to hold your breath on the way up. Like it would be that simple, and then you're done.
Holy shit, man.
So yeah, it can be. I mean, but it's pretty regulated industry. Back in like the 70s and stuff, it was fucking cowboys. But now you have to do like medical testing and stuff before you even allowed to get in the water. So it's pretty good. Most guys have their head on their shoulders, but there is definitely some cowboys that are still in the industry to this day.
Yeah, and listen, I gotta ask, this is a story podcast, right? So you got any crazy stories off the top of your head from commercial diving?
Yeah. We
You ever see a mermaid?
I have not seen a mermaid. No, I haven't really seen anything that cool. I haven't been doing it that long. Yeah, no sharks or anything. I did have an incident where there was a girl who we were on scuba and she ran out of air, and I had to essentially give her my regulator. But I'm supposed to have a spare. I didn't have it because I'm a dummy, and yeah, it was pretty sketchy. Like we both had to run to the top and like really quickly, and it was pretty hairy. Yeah, she ended up having to go to the chamber.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Like I've
So
only been fishing, and I know that like sometimes when you go deep sea fishing and you pull the fish up quickly, their eyes like pop.
Yeah. No, same thing. Humans are pretty similar. Like that kind of shit can happen to you too.
Jesus,
It's pretty
Christ, man,
wild.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you're in New Zealand. What's New Zealand like? I've never been down under. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
New Zealand.
intrigued though.
It's pretty cool. It's a bit like Canada, I guess you could say, but very similar to Australia. The scenery here, I haven't seen that much because I've mostly been sticking around Auckland and the North Island. But it is fucking beautiful here. It's definitely colder than I thought. I can't believe I left like 32-degree Canadian summer to come here, where it's like 13 and rainy every day. But it's getting better, and it's still a good vibe. It's pretty expensive here, and the wages are like not amazing, but the people here are so fucking nice. Like, I can't believe the amount of times people have been like welcoming me and like offering me like random gifts and shit. It's literally blowing my fucking mind how nice the Kiwis are. They're a really good group of people, and I'm excited to see more of the country. But yeah, it also at the same time feels very isolated here. Like, New Zealand gets cut off most maps because it's so fucking isolated.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, so we're far from everything. Everyone's like, oh, if you're in New Zealand, you should pop over to Asia. But it's like, if you look at a map and the way that a plane travels, Vancouver to like Japan is probably closer than fucking Auckland to Japan, right? Like we're still pretty far away. You can hop to Australia or like Fiji, but that's really that's it within like a day of travel.
Yeah, I think New Zealanders, every single New Zealander and every Australian I've ever met in a hostel, I've gotten drunk with.
Yeah,
and that's not an understatement. Like they are some of the best people. I think they're the yin to their yang. Like we're in the north, they're in the south, and we're just the same people with different accents.
Yeah, no, especially Kiwis, man, because like the way that I see it, like New Zealand is the little brother to Australia, and we're the little brother to America. So we kind of have same vibes there. Like we're kind of a little bit forgotten about sometimes, and a bit of an inferiority complex, I guess, at times. But yeah, I think we can kind of relate to that. And then they like skiing, we like skiing, drinking, whatever. The landscape is it's pretty similar to BC at least. Like the mountains are quite similar.
They just need a hockey team, right?
They just need to get on the hockey, honestly. I don't know why they haven't yet, because they got good conditions for it, but they're too preoccupied with rugby, and they got a pretty good thing going on with that, obviously. So,
yeah, of course. The only problem I have with people from that region is, dude, why didn't they warn us about 9/11?
Yeah, no, I'm
not fucking with you.
Fucking like 18
Being in
hours
the future,
ahead
dude.
No, it's honestly ridiculous. We hold it against them for sure for that. That's fucked up, man.
Hashtag conspiracy. Listen, moving on. So you participated in Bollywood movies. How did you get cast in that? Like, was it just somebody at the hostel being like, "Hey, I need like 3 white guys"?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it was only actually one movie, but it was literally that. I was in a city in India, which is like kind of like the Paris of India, you could say. It is a French colony. It's called Pondicherry, and I was having like a late night cup of chai with this girl that I met. She was from France, and we're hanging out, and this lady just approaches us, and she's like, "What are you guys doing tomorrow morning at 6 a.m.?" And we're like, "I don't know." And she's like, "Do you want to be in a movie?" And we're like, "Absolutely, we want to be in a movie." So yeah, we had to meet her at like, yeah, it was like 5:30. We had to get up, and basically our role in the movie was the dorky white tourist, like you said. It was pretty funny.
Taking pictures or something.
Yeah, one of the main characters. It's like a love story. The movie. It's called Pondicherry. Is the girl is like a tour guide, so she'd take people on like bike tours around the city, and like you get to look at all the sights. So we basically just did that. But the girl, our tour guide, she didn't know anything about the city at all. So we got just kind of cruised around on bikes, and they took like some shots of us. And I was convinced I was going to be totally cut out of the movie, and then it came out pretty recently and watching it, and I have quite a bit in there. No talking or anything, but it's pretty funny to see myself on screen in a fucking random Indian movie.
So like, is it like on Netflix or something, or is it like?
No, it's on like an Indian Netflix that you can, like, if you really wanted to, you can get an account for. I illegally fucking pirated it, but it was so hard to find online. And yeah, it also, like, that happened. We filmed it in, I think, 2019, and it just came out like a couple months ago. So I thought it was just never going to come out, but I guess with COVID, it
Maybe
got all tied
COVID.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I guess I know that there's a decent amount of tourists or white tourists or that get parts in Bollywood movies, but like, what was it like being on set? Like, was it cool? Was it kind of like behind the scenes, seeing like the director and shit like that? Like, how was it?
Yeah, it was cool. Like, it wasn't a huge crew or anything. It wasn't like a massive blockbuster, but
Was it shot like on an iPhone?
No, it was a proper camera. No, it was cool
Okay.
though. Yeah, I got to hang out with the director, and he was a really chill guy. The main star, like the female lead, was I had no fucking idea who she was, but I would meet other Indian people, and I would like show them a photo of me and her, and they'd be like, "Oh my god, can't remember what her name is, but you met her?" I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know." And she
Yeah,
was
dude,
super sweet
I have her
too.
on Snapchat.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, it was cool. It was like, a half day, and they gave us lunch. We didn't get any money or anything for it, but it didn't really matter. It was a cool experience. And yeah, like I said, just a random Bollywood movie and that I'm in, and yeah.
That's fucking cool, man. I wish
Yeah.
that's like a bucket list. Like being just in a Bollywood movie, it'd be sick.
Yeah. No, I've heard of other travelers like doing it, but I think it's the right time at the right place type of thing. Like me, same thing with the other big thing in India is you get to do like an Indian wedding, because they're like 5 days and like 1,000 people. People go like
Oh
bankrupt
shit.
having a wedding. So I've heard other people going to them. But yeah, it didn't happen when I was there, but that'd be a pretty cool experience too.
Yeah. Yeah, sounds fucking sweet. Listen, in the intro, I think the one thing that, other than the one of you shitting yourself in an Eastern European city square, was the North Korea bit.
Yeah.
You went to North Korea? What the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny. I'll tell you how it went. When I was 19, or maybe I was 18 actually. Either way, I was in a hostel, and I met this guy, and he was this Serbian guy, and he was telling me all these old traveler tales, and he was talking about his time in North Korea, and I didn't even know that was an option. Like, I thought it would be 100%.
Where were you?
That was in Australia that I met him.
Okay.
And I thought that was totally going to be off limits. There's no way anybody can go there. And he just told me, he's like, yeah, you book a tour and then you fucking roll up and that's it. Like, so that always kind of stuck with me. And then when I was turning 20, I was like, I kind of want to do something kind of cool to celebrate 2 decades on the earth. So I had a trip planned
I'm now
to
going to
Japan.
go get killed.
Yeah, pretty much. So I had a trip planned to Japan with my girlfriend at the time. And yeah, after 5 weeks in Japan, I was like, hey, I'm just gonna like pop over to North Korea real quick since we're in the neighborhood. And I flew to China, booked a tour with the company called Young Pioneer, and then yeah, we went to North Korea for like, I was there about a week, and only got to see Pyongyang, which was kind of lame because we had a lot of cancellations in the tour, but it was still fucking wild. One thing I always tell people, when I first arrived there, we check into the hotel, and I get in my room and I turn the TV on just to see if they even had TV. and it had Al Jazeera, and I think that was it. And I turn on Al Jazeera, and the first thing I see on the screen is North Korea missile launch, because I guess that day we didn't even know North Korea was fucking launching missiles over Japan into the sea, which is like technically an act of war or some shit.
Yeah.
So that was a bit hairy, and I remember kind of seeing that and being like, oh, I might not be going home anytime soon. Like, I might get stuck here. Fuck.
I should have went to fucking South Korea, dude.
Yeah, for sure. I haven't even been to South Korea either. Like, every time I meet Koreans, they're like, oh, you ever been? And I'm like, kind of.
Not yours. Not yours,
Not
dude.
yours.
The other one.
Yeah.
Fuck. But like, so when you're there, like, what did you guys do?
So it's kind of funny. Like, yeah, coming into the country, I was just shitting myself. I was so scared. I was trying to play it cool, like I wasn't. Everybody else was like pretty chill. But yeah, by the time we got into the country, I made pretty good friends with my people, my group. There was about 12 of us, and I think about 10 of them were these German guys who were working for Mercedes in China. And on the train there, they brought like a cooler with like 100 beers, and they just drank so fucking aggressively, and we're singing all like these crazy German songs. So I was like, well, I'm only in Rome once, so I got along with them pretty good, and we were drinking beer, which I think was the cheapest beer I've ever seen. I mean, the conversion rate is really hard to convert the North Korean money to like Canadian, but I remember it being like, it's like 25 cents for a tall bottle of beer, and it was all
Dude,
rice
so
beer.
I guess that's already one answer answered in the Q&A.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I probably would say that. But yeah, so we ended up drinking just so aggressively the whole time. We would basically start our day, hop on the bus, and we'd be drinking on the bus, and then we go to a site, we kind of take a photo, and then we get onto the bus, and then we go to the next site and take a photo. It was like something in like the Caribbean, like it was just like a total little booze tour of me and these guys just like stumbling around fucking North Korea. I wasn't planning on drinking at all because I didn't want to like, be a fucking idiot
Die.
while I was there. But no,
End
I
up in a
was like
fucking
super chill. I didn't after like a day or two. I was totally at ease and did not feel stressed out about anything there. North Koreans were really
really.
nice people. Yeah, yeah. Like I
Yeah,
went in with all like, I'm not gonna do this, and I'm only gonna do this, and I want to make sure that this happens or whatever. And nah, I just fucking chilled out and wrote it out, and it was amazing. It was such a fun time.
it's such a mystical place, right? Because
Yeah,
it's closed. It's one of the only places in the world that is literally closed off to the rest of the world. You look at the light map of the world, and it's that one
yeah,
bit. There's northern
yeah.
Canada, there's like eastern Russia, and then there's fucking North Korea that have no fucking
Yeah,
lights.
it's just quiet, man. Yeah, even when we were there, like my floor was like the 14th floor of the hotel, and it was pretty regularly that the power would cut out in the elevator. So I'd be stuck on the elevator for like 20 minutes, waiting for it to turn back on. And yeah, it was a pretty weird place, though. I mean, whenever I tell people I went to North Korea, they're like, "Oh, everything you saw was fake." And to that, I say, yeah, kind of. In a way,
Like
some
it
of
was
it was.
staged.
Some of it kind of was like, it was pretty surprising. Like we went to a park and this couple was getting married, and then they kind of hinted at like, oh, like this couple's been married here a couple times. It's not the first time they've been married, because they like were taking photos with us, the people getting married. And then there's another guy who took a photo of a guy standing in the train station reading a map. And then he went online later and posted in our group, and he's like, "There's a lot of photos of this guy taking, looking at the map." So stuff like that. And they definitely took us down like certain streets, like even if it's way out of the way, just so we would avoid like the fucking horrible
Poverty.
areas. Because some streets were like absolutely beautiful and like super nice new modern buildings that were dead, and then some of them like looked like they've been fucking bombed. Like it was horrendous. The difference there. I mean, and the other thing too, North Korea, it is also kind of morally questionable to go, because it's not a super expensive trip, but the money that you're spending is going to the Kim dynasty. So
It's
I don't
going to
know.
the
Like I said, I
Kim
was
Jong
20.
Un
Yeah,
Hennessy Fund.
yeah, pretty much. Like I was 20, so I was kind of like, I didn't really care about that kind of shit at the time because I was just an ignorant kid. But now that I'm a bit older, I don't know. It's not really the most morally sound thing to do. But
Yeah.
yeah, it is what it is. And I went, and yeah, it was interesting. Other thing I learned is that propaganda definitely goes both ways. I mean, we hear so much about them, and that like they all think that Kim doesn't take shits and stuff like that and whatever.
Yeah. Hole in one
But yeah,
on his first time doing an 18 hole on every hole.
yeah, yeah. But like, I don't know. I think a lot of what we hear maybe isn't 100% accurate, and then obviously what they hear about us isn't accurate either. So they're not the only ones getting propaganda. We are too. I think.
There's something I learned listening to another podcast that's actually really good. I don't usually promote many other podcasts, but it's one called Real Dictators, and they kind of go through the behind the scenes. It's on, I think, Wondery. It's available everywhere you are, but I think it's Wondery that puts it up. Anyways, very interesting on the subject of propaganda, because they don't just necessarily talk about the Kim. They talk about Kim Jong-il, the Kim Jong-un's dad, and how when he was younger, his dad was the ruler, was the dictator
Kim
at the
Il-sung.
time. There you go, that guy.
He still is technically, even though he's dead.
Which makes a ton of sense. And so Kim Jong-il was super interested in like movies and stuff like that, and would produce a lot of movies, even to a point where he like kidnapped a Japanese like actress, and kidnapped her, brought her to North Korea, made her be in the movies. And it would all be like anti-US, anti-China, or anti-South Korea, excuse.
Yeah,
so basically you hear that, and then you're like, fuck, man, like they're using propaganda in movies.
Yeah, for sure.
And then you kind of, do an introspective, like, it's possible to do movies, in the US. It could be propaganda, right? Who are the bad guys usually? Russia, China.
Yeah, it's a really good point. I mean, even fucking video games like Call of Duty and stuff, like, that gets kids enlisting, right? For the military. So, but yeah, they definitely do some fucking weird shit. Like, they all wear a little pin with his face on it. They told us, like, if we had any money that has his face on it, we weren't allowed to, like, fold the money or anything. You had to keep the money flat. So you have a picture of him in your room. You can't, like, put the photo down. Yeah, they still, like, are very big on Kim Il-sung. He is their eternal leader. They have their whole religion, like their state religion, is based upon him. The other fucking crazy thing is the year there is like 112, because that's how old, how long ago it was since he was born. Like, that's how fucking like deep they are in this kind of shit. It is crazy.
It's essentially like a cult. They need a reality show.
Yeah,
it's very North American to me to say, but
yeah, it was fucking wild. I don't know what's going to happen, because in my opinion, it's just not sustainable to be living like that forever. I mean, how long are you going to be following this dead guy? I don't know.
Yeah, but what happened? The way that they're able to sustain a lot of because there's a lot of people that are famined in North Korea. So what they do is that they threaten to do like nuclear testing, or they threaten to bomb people, like the U.S. usually. And by denuclearization, they get like subsidies for food.
Jesus. Yeah, if your economy's based upon that? Like, that's fucking terrible.
Yeah, it's pretty tough. Yeah, but no, listen. Man, listen. You've been to a number of countries. You've done some pretty fucking cool ones. And listen, I'm really glad that you're here. I guess I gotta ask you, how did you hear about Two Beers Till Takeoff?
Yeah, so
how did you make it to the pod? Tell the people.
Yeah, I'll tell the people. So basically, last year I was really broke. I was a student, like going to dive school, and had no money, and I kind of had this little side gig, actually fucking picking berries. And it sounds kind of dorky, but it was a lot of fun. And
from BC, well. Fuck that. You were picking weed.
I was hanging on the blackcurrant bushes, and I had a lot of free time. And yeah, I've never really been a big podcast guy, but I think I just typed in like travel or backpacker podcast in Spotify, and first thing that came up, so I gave it a listen, and I was like, damn, this is fucking definitely scratching the itch. This is what I've been looking for, hearing all these outrageous stories, and listening to them more and more. I was kind of thinking to myself, like, I feel like I could maybe do this. Like, I've been to a few places. I've been in a few states. So yeah, I hit you guys up, and I was like, "Get me on!" And to my surprise, here we are. I didn't really think it was gonna happen, but no, I'm stoked to be here. It's been a lot of fun so far.
Listen, that's just I just wanted people to know this because if you do have a story, if you're that person that's listening to this podcast and be like, hey, I've got a fucking better story than this, hit us up, DM us, comment in our post or whatever, say I've got a story because I want to hear about it. Brady, today you've come on to talk not about North Korea, not about New Zealand, and not about India, but you've come on to talk about Australia. I think it's a place that you've spent a lot of time there, right?
Yeah, I spent about 2 years there, so I kind of have the most material on that. I mean, I would love to do a little top five in North Korea, but I didn't even see like 5 different fucking places. There's a lot of North Korea I don't even fucking remember, as I'm sure you can imagine. Yeah, so Australia, I is a place dear to my heart. I definitely spent some formative years there, and I ended up doing an entire full lap around the country. Went to every state, every capital city, and yeah, it was a great time. Made a lot of money, and yeah, I really enjoyed myself.
Why'd you decide to go? Like, why was Australia just always a place that you were planning to go or would like to go?
Yeah, I mean, I would say yes and no. Like, it's always been kind of enticing to me when I was younger, but when I was 18 and I kind of realized, like, after school, like, oh, fuck, like, traveling is an option this is something that I can be doing. I really wanted to go to maybe Southeast Asia and do, like, the banana pancake route.
Yeah.
But I also, at the same time, wanted to be gone, like, upwards of a year or even more. And you can't really be in Thailand for a year. You'd have to get all kinds of crazy visas, and working would be all fucking weird. So Australia has like a super simple work and holiday visa program, which I'm sure a lot of people know about. And yeah, I think I got my visa. It was like $400, and it took like 15 minutes. And then next thing you know, I booked a flight and off I went. Yeah.
Yeah, it's easy. Is it because we're Commonwealth? Is that why it was easier?
Well, yeah, I mean, not really actually, because Americans can go, and like literally everywhere in Europe can go.
Okay.
Yeah, the Commonwealth doesn't really help you out. It does help you out in New Zealand though, because most people can only get a 1 year visa, but Canadians and Brits can get 2 years or 23 months visa.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
All right, well let's dive a bit more into the story and get to know you a bit better first.
Q&A.
So first question, hot or cold?
I'm definitely saying hot, 100%.
As a Canadian, you experience enough cold that hot is finally...
I'm a big pussy with cold weather. I'm just not really a big fan. It's not for me.
Well, dude, you're from BC. Like, what's the coldest you guys actually get?
Maybe like on a cold year, we might hit -10.
Jesus Christ, that's like our fucking summer,
That's
dude.
cold, bro.
It's our summer here.
It's cold. Yeah.
Beach or mountains?
That's a tough one. I'd probably have to say mountains.
Homer pick.
But I mean, either or.
Bus or train?
Definitely train. Yeah, you can stretch your legs, walk around. If you're lucky, someone can serve you some chai or something like that. Buses, not really a big fan of.
Cats or dogs?
Probably dogs. I'm not a huge animal guy, but if I had to pick, it'd be a dog.
No, you prefer like aqua life, right? Like you'd be like, oh, I'd prefer like the fucking clownfish or whatever.
Yeah, big dolphin guy, that sort of thing.
Top or bottom bunk?
Definitely bottom bunk. Is anybody picking top bunk? Like, no way.
I pick top bunk. I like to live dangerously.
All right, fair enough. If you go to an empty hostel or an empty dorm, there's 8 beds, and you're picking the top one, no way.
Hey, man. There's advantages to top bunk. There's less activity right at your eyesight if there's no divider.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point.
And that's about it.
That's about it. Yeah, like
no, I just picked it to be contrarian. If
it's a squeaky bed though, and you gotta you gotta like take a pee in the morning, and you're trying to climb down, it's like you just feel like an asshole. Like,
yeah, no, you're right. I picked top bunk just to be contrarian. I don't do hostel dorms anymore.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, like Yeah, it is what it is. What is your favorite sports team?
Uh Fuck, I'm not really a huge sports guy. I don't
Name
know.
your top 3 albums.
Top three albums? Fuck, that's you're gonna put me on the spot for that too. I'd probably say number one, maybe Rumors by Fleetwood Mac.
Okay,
And
heard of it.
then
Yeah.
dude, classic.
Yeah.
And then number two, I don't know. These aren't gonna be properly in order. I'm gonna regret
I
saying
don't
this
care.
later.
You
But
got to go shoot from the hip, buddy.
number two would probably be I think 99.9% by Kate Renata, good Montreal guy. And then number three, we're gonna go Good Kid, Mad City by Kendrick Lamar.
If you had a superpower, what would it be?
Definitely teleportation.
I think this is a popular power that people want, especially on a travel podcast. We've been through enough fucking airports, delays,
Yeah.
buses
I'm
that
thinking,
don't show up.
Yeah, I'm thinking I would immediately be bank robbing though. That's probably what I would use it for mostly.
Oh yeah,
I mean, it wouldn't be hard.
What's something you never travel without?
Travel without. Definitely this guy is my little comfort water bottle. I had it forever. I had
Just
another
one
one.
sticker on it.
Yeah, I had another one for years and I lost it in Namibia, and man, like that crushed me for like a week. Like I was backtracking throughout the country trying to find it. So this one I've honestly been thinking of putting an air tag on it, even though it's like a $20 water bottle.
You should do.
Because I don't want to lose it. So water bottle, and I would also say I'm a big fan of the JBL speaker. You got the beach. Someone's got to have one. It's nice to be that guy.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Then you get to control the music.
Yeah, for sure.
I got to ask you about Namibia because that is a place that it was never on my radar.
Mm-hmm.
And then I found out that it's got like a huge beer culture there.
Yeah, I can't really confirm that because but they are a German former German colony, so I'm sure they do. They do have one beer there. I want to just say it's called Windhoek, which is the name of the capital city, but it's pretty good. Yeah, definitely like a German style of beer, and there's definitely some serious German influence there still. Even though it wasn't a German colony for that long, it kind of stuck around, and a lot of Germans go down there to go see like on their second houses and stuff and whatnot.
Yeah, they just love the huge fans of like Bundesliga and shit.
Yeah, for sure. Good people. It's probably like I would say maybe the safest country in Africa, at least that I've been to. But it is a tough place. Like it's incredibly sparse. Like there's not really much going on. There's like 3 cities, and besides that, everything else is fucking empty land. Like it is so just empty, but beautiful at the same time.
Nice. What is your favorite world attraction?
Favorite world attraction? The one I really liked that was really cool. I mean, it gets a lot of hype, but fuck, it was awesome. Would maybe be the Colosseum in Rome. That was really amazing.
It's pretty sick.
And just the neighborhood that it's in too is just so like Italian and beautiful. And then just having this like 2,000-year-old Colosseum right in front of you is pretty cool. Like, did the tour and yeah, I loved it. Taj Mahal would probably be close second. I really quite like Taj. That was really nice.
Nice. Colosseum too. Like I feel like have you seen the movie Gladiator?
Yeah, but it's been a hot minute.
I just feel like it's such a good like fucking hype movie. If you're going to Italy and you want to watch a movie that like obviously they're where gladiators fought, and you get there and you're like, fuck, dude, is that Russell Crowe over there?
Yeah, I'll put that on my next time I'm in Italy. I definitely want to go back.
Yeah, man, Italy, dude, it's just too good. It's too. Yeah. There's a shit ton of people during the summer, but it's just, man, you can't say anything bad about it.
Yeah, I kind of always used to turn my nose at Western Europe because I was just like a snobby backpacker, and I thought that it was like just kind of over like too much tourism, and like it's where everybody goes, and it's too expensive. But so I'd spend most of my time in Eastern Europe, and then when I finally went to Italy, I was like, wow, this place is fucking sweet. This is like no wonder like this is like the second most visited country in the world because the food is amazing. There's so many cool sites, easy to get around. The weather's wicked, so Italy's pretty high on my list too.
Yeah, and like there's so many regions. Like do you do like
Hmm.
the Amalfi Coast? Do you do Tuscany? Do you do Sicily? Do you do like the Rome, Venice region? There's like I was watching a Anthony Bourdain episode. He did this area. It's called Romana. Hold on a sec here.
I love telling you.
Sardinia. Anyways,
Oh yeah.
I forget the name, but he did an episode there where it's basically all the like best food is from. So it's kind of like more
Okay.
of a farm town place, and
Hmm.
he's eating all this like obscure stuff, but it looks fucking amazing. And I definitely have it on my list to go once I go back to Italy.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Which country has the best cuisine?
Well, I know everybody says Italy, but I mean, and honestly, it'd be hard not to. But I think I'm gonna say actually Japan. I really
Oh
like the food.
yes,
Yeah, ramen is like I could eat ramen every day of my life, especially if it's like cooler weather. The sushi's obviously fantastic. It's definitely I was kind of surprised. Like we got good sushi in Vancouver, but the sushi there is a little bit different than what we have. It's a lot more simple. You got like literally just fish and rice and maybe seaweed. It's not like covered in fucking different types of mayonnaise based sauces and stuff, which is it's good in its own sense. But yeah, the more authentic sushi is really good, and you can eat like an amazing meal at the fucking convenience store, which is just crazy to me.
no
Really high
California rolls
quality
over
of
there.
food. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I saw any California rolls. Probably for
Probably
the
not.
tourists, but
What is your biggest travel pet peeve?
um, so I guess I would say, fucking last night, some girl at 2 a.m. I'm in like probably like a 12 bed dorm, just decided to turn the light on, and thankfully like six people started like reaming her out because fair. Why the fuck would you do
Oh,
that?
where was she from?
And
Where was she
I
from?
don't know. I never met her. I didn't even really see her besides that time. But like, how do you not know? I think that if you're gonna go traveling, learn a little bit of hostel etiquette because there is some stuff you should know. Um, one thing I always do is like, if you're gonna set an alarm, just put it on vibrate. You don't and put it by your head. You don't need to
Yeah,
have a fucking blasting alarm at 4 a.m. because everyone's gonna hate you. And if you're a really bad snorer,
get
maybe
a
dorm life
private
isn't for you.
dorm life. Yeah, like you're being an asshole. Maybe
Yeah.
move.
You're not going to make a lot of
Um,
friends being a heavy snorer in a dorm.
so there's one thing that, in terms of hostel etiquette, I'll never forget. There's one hostel owner that I met, and his big thing was, if you want to have sex, have sex in the showers.
Yeah, fair enough. Just washes everything down. I can respect that.
Yeah. I mean, if you're in a dorm and you're having sex, I mean, it happens, but I mean, it's maybe not the best look.
It's not the best look. I mean, the other thing though, some hostels like the dorm setup isn't always the same. Like the one I just stayed in, like the beds are literally like in an open space beside each other. Like I'm
Mm,
staring when I roll over, I'm staring at the guy next to me. But
yeah,
some of them are like you get the cubbies with the curtains and it's like more protected.
yeah,
I don't know. That might be a better
yeah.
option.
Back in the day when I was traveling,
Back in the day.
we didn't. Am I that guy now? Is that a gray hair? Am I graying like on the spot here? But yeah, back in the day, there was like those cubbies. They didn't exist, or I hadn't seen them in 2012 anyway yet.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, they come in handy. They're pretty nice.
yeah, and I mean, fuck now. There's like USB cables to like your
Yeah.
cubby and
Hmm.
stuff. Back in the day, dude, it was just like two plugs for like a 8-person dorm, and you just like unplug somebody else's
On the other
phone.
side of the room. Yeah. Everyone's got these massive fucking travel adapters to take up the whole block with it.
Dicks.
But yeah, no, things have gotten nice. Like I was just in one and they had a private fan in the beds too. Like it
What?
was sweet. Yeah, with the light and the outlet and the curtain. Yeah. If you're gonna open up a hostel, get the curtains.
Get
It's
go
fucking
bougie.
worth it. Go bougie. Get the curtains. Everyone will thank you.
What is your best travel hack?
Um, fuck, I probably should have said the cell phone thing. But maybe one thing I like to do when I'm traveling, if I have a phone set up, is fuck Hostelworld, fuck Booking.com. Just find the place you want to go via them, and then just call them and book it, because then they get all of the money. Hostelworld takes like 20%.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get a better deal, and sometimes if a place is booked out and you call them, they're like, "Oh, actually, we have one bed available, whatever." So I always try to do that because yeah, I don't need to be giving my fucking money to hostel world. I'd rather just go to the place. And yeah, even with bus tickets too. Like when you get off a bus and you're going somewhere in a few days, just buy a ticket at the bus station. Like fuck doing it online. It's just so much easier. You can have a chat. You know a bit more information than buying off some sketchy fucking Polish website for buying a bus.
Oftentimes they're very sketchy, and you're like,
Yeah,
you use like the translate like option, and then it doesn't translate
yeah,
everything. Still like some Polish
yeah.
words, and you're like, I didn't know that L's have lines through them. Like, since when? What is the most underrated country?
Most underrated, I would probably say I really like Malawi. Malawi's fucking amazing. I wouldn't say if you wanted like your first place you're going on holiday ever should be Malawi because it's kind of a tough country to visit. But it was fucking fantastic. There was a good backpacker scene there, which kind of surprised me because a lot of places in Africa don't have that. And the lake is just fucking paradise. We took a boat overnight up the lake and we slept on the roof of it. And yeah, a really nice country, really underrated. I would say Romania too is up there in Europe. I mean, it's kind of like not super underrated, but it's not on everyone's list, but it should be. Romania's fucking sweet.
I've heard they have really nice city squares. Like, you have to, like,
They
sometimes
do.
it stinks, but like,
Sometimes they stink. Yeah, sometimes somebody, fucking stinks up the hostel room too. I don't know why, but it happens.
story incoming soon. Where is somewhere you'd never go back?
Somewhere I would never go back. There's not a whole lot of places. I would never go back. I would say maybe I used to live in this town outside of Sydney in Australia, and that town I was 18 when I was there, and I loved it so much. Every day was amazing. I met the coolest people. I'm still friends with to this day there, and that place meant so much to me. And I might not go back there just because the memories are too strong, and I know if I went to the hostel, it'd be all different. I wouldn't know anyone there, and it'd be weird. So maybe that place, but yeah, not for the reasons I didn't like it. The reason because I liked it so much. But for places I didn't like, I probably wouldn't be in a huge rush to go back to maybe like Zambia. It was kind of boring. I'm not gonna lie. Sorry to if all the Zambians are listening.
Yeah, we've got a huge listening in Zambia.
Yeah. And maybe Surfers Paradise in Australia. That place is kind of a little bit artificial. It's like the Miami or whatever. It's just fucking nightclubs with douchey bros trying to like sell you tickets outside and whatever. It's not really my scene.
Nice. Brady, listen, you've name dropped Namibia, you've name dropped Zambia. Where the fuck did you go in Africa? I gotta ask you this. I gotta give a pause to QA.
I did a pretty big trip actually through Africa. When I think I was 21. I kind of always wanted to go to every inhabited continent. That was a big goal for me. So Africa was my last one, and I've always kind of had like a desire to go there too because I didn't know anything about Africa. I didn't know anybody who went there. Like all you see on TV is like fucking starving kids and like Nat Geo
and the
shit.
Serengeti.
Yeah. So I was like, there's gotta be more to it than that. They gotta have like, fucking educated people in cities and whatever. So I was like, well, the only way to know is to find out for myself. So I hopped on a flight to Joburg in South Africa, which is a fuck place. That place is very dodgy. And then
I've heard.
Traveled through South Africa for a bit. And then, yeah, kind of just meandered my way through hitchhiking and shared buses and stuff to get to Kenya. So I went through 10 countries and had a fucking blast. It was so much fun in Africa. It was very challenging. Like that's kind of what I was looking for though, because I felt as a bit more of an experienced traveler, I wanted something that was not always easy, and sometimes it was uncomfortable. And Africa definitely a lot of times was fucking uncomfortable. Like just trying to you go 200 kilometers, it takes you a day and a half type of thing. But that was that was a great trip. I was there about 3.5, 4 months.
Wow. Did you shit yourself ever?
Just
because it's
Africa,
a theme. It's a theme.
Yeah, it is a theme. I don't think you know what, I very well might have, but I don't think I did. I think I shit myself in the next country, which I went to Africa, or not Africa, India, because I ended up getting typhoid fever, like yourself. and salmonella, and I think I shit myself during that because it was a fucking horrendous experience.
The old beef broth.
Yeah, that was tough, man.
Where did you experience the least friendly locals?
The least friendly locals, I would probably say. I mean, no hate to them because I like have a lot of respect for them. They're great people. My family comes from there originally. But they're not the most happy bunch. Would probably be Ukraine.
Oh shit.
Eastern European people are kind of, I mean, all over Eastern Europe, they're not necessarily going to say hello to you or whatever. And like, I remember just trying to like buy a train ticket in Ukraine and just like getting screamed at by the lady working at the ticket booth. Like, okay, I don't know why you're yelling at me. I don't speak the same language as you. I just wanted to buy a train ticket. Like, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
But,
Very Canadian.
Yeah. But I mean, I still love my time in the country. I mean, like I said, they weren't necessarily the most friendly, happy bunch, but they've had a tough go for years now, for like centuries. So I'll give them a pass. A lot of Eastern Europe's like that too. Like any former Soviet state, yeah, things haven't always been easy. I get why you don't always have a smile on your face for yourself.
Yeah, right. The Iron Curtain coming or tumbling, and then Russia taking all the resources from every country, which is, I mean, it makes it's terrible because it makes economic, like a place that's economy just went to shit, better for travelers because our dollar's worth more. But obviously, it's like that's the worst thing I've possibly said on this podcast because it's making these people's lives terrible.
It is a pretty hot take. Yeah, for sure. So a lot of people are still struggling, and they've had some. Yeah, your great granddaddy was fucking killed by Stalin or whatever and shit like
Yours?
that. So it's tough. No, I'm saying like a lot of the people there, not my great granddaddy.
Stalin, man, Jesus Christ, that guy was fucked.
Yeah, that guy was fucked.
Brady, do you still have family in Ukraine?
Not like immediate family or anything. My family came over like quite a while ago, but they were from a town called Trembola, I think. Trembolva. I don't
Is that
know.
how you
Some
say
Ukrainian's gonna call me out for that.
I have no idea.
But it's in Western Ukraine.
Okay.
And yeah, they kind of came over, and yeah, that's about it. I don't have like strong ties to Ukraine, but it was kind of cool to go there and poke my head around.
Yeah, it's kind of cool to find out or to see where I guess your last name's from, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is your favorite cocktail?
If I'm getting a cocktail, it's probably usually a highball because I'm a cheap bastard. So maybe like a screwdriver. But I do really like Long Island iced teas because
they get the job done.
Buck, right? Yeah. I'm not a huge cocktail guy. I usually just get beers, but those two have a place in my heart. Oh, and White Russians.
Oh, yeah.
Those I make at home. I love White Russians.
Nice little White Rush.
But you drink like 7 White Russians. It's a lot of milk.
It is. Yeah, you start ballooning up, and then it's not good, but they're tasty.
Yeah, they're very tasty.
Yeah. So we've already covered where you found your cheapest pint. It's in North Korea. I think that's our first. That's fucking cool. I love that. Where in the world is your favorite bar and why?
I think my favorite bar would probably be in Stonetown, Zambia, which is a little island off of Tanzania.
Isn't that the place that you should just shit on?
No, that's Zambia. This is Zanzibar. Sorry,
okay, Zanzibar. Okay.
Yeah, my bad. Sorry, I'm getting all confused with all the Z's.
Zimbabwe.
Anyways, yeah, probably in Zanzibar, and there's a bar that's like, I don't know, maybe 150 feet in the ocean, just like a little floating hut. And I went there at like 3 a.m. We just swam to it, and there was just like 3 guys over there, and they're just like blackout drunk and drinking beers, and we'd had beers with them, and then in the morning we stayed the night, and then in the morning at like 7 a.m. we just swam back, and it was fucking wild. It was such a cool experience. I don't know how they get any business because it's a pretty long swim to get out there, and I don't know the whole logistics of that place. I don't even think we paid for anything there either. They were super chill, but they were fucking
You're
hammered,
backpacking.
so.
Those are the things that you appreciate. Yeah. And now that you're a commercial diver, I'm sure that you're in the hostel and you're like, hey guys, I got a 6-pack. Here's a beer. to the scruffy backpacker, right?
Yeah, sometimes. Why
It's
not?
like the pay it forward. You got to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I start to definitely notice that as I get older. You got to do it. I pick up hitchhikers all the time now too, if I can, because you know what? I've been on the road before, and it sucks. So I know how it is.
Yeah, it's crazy how like strangers will be so fucking nice to you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, sometimes it's shocking, man, how far people go out of their way to like give you a hand at times. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of nice people in the world just waiting for us to fucking travel. But anyways, let's get into the top 5.
Top 5.
All right, so my top 5 is going to be on Australia. It's going to be instead of cities or anything, I'm going to do like different regions because I did see a good amount of the country, and these might not be like the best places for you, but they are for me. So
I'm on the fucking podcast. I got the mic.
Yeah, it's my list. So fuck off. And I'm going to start off with number 5. Will probably be the Great Ocean Road, which is just a little bit south of Melbourne in the state of Victoria. Fucking fantastic. They have a big rock thing there called the 12 Apostles, which is really famous, classic Aussie landmark. And it's a beautiful little drive. Yeah, highly recommended. Number 2, I'm going to say...
Was that number 1? Did you say number 1?
Oh, I'm going backwards. I'm sorry.
Go backwards.
Number 4.
Yeah.
Number 4 would probably be southwestern Australia. So in the state of Western Australia, WA, in the southwestern corner, there's a little cool surf region there. They got some towns like Margaret River, and I did a big like 130K hike along the coastline with my friend from Italy, and it was fucking awesome. I was there for about a year. It's probably spent the most time there, and I really liked it. Yeah, isolated as fuck from the rest of the world and the country, but really beautiful, good weather, chill people.
Is there just like a shit ton of stuff that's trying to kill you all the time when you're doing a hike like that?
I don't think there was that much concern in WA. We did it over Christmas, so it was like the hottest time of year. And the flies, man, will block the fucking sun out. Like I couldn't believe how bad it was. We had like the nets and everything, but they would just really get to us. But we didn't see any like crazy snakes or anything like that. I did see a couple snakes and a couple spiders in my time in the country, but like nothing that put me off of the country that much. Although the cockroaches, I don't fuck with cockroaches. Those things are nasty.
Jesus.
And then number 3 would probably be Tasmania. I really fucking love Tasmania. That's a beautiful state. Reminds me a lot of where I'm from, Vancouver Island. They get a bad rap from the Aussies. The Aussies always make fun of them, and they say they have like 2 heads and they're all inbred. And
all the criminals are calling them inbred.
Like when we were there, we were hanging out with some guys, and we were having a good time, having drinks with them, and then all of a sudden they just started smoking meth.
Casual,
weird. What? Yeah, casual. One of my
very Vancouver, right? No, wait, that's heroin, right?
Well, a little bit of meth too, but yeah, one of my close friends was there for a while, and in McDonald's bathroom, he had a guy behind him just like masturbating while staring at him. So there's Tassie people can be a bit weird, but there's a lot to see, especially if you like nature. I think they got some of the best mountains in the country and consistently snow, which is cool for a very hot country.
Visibly jerking off to another person, is that like their way of like saying like hello?
Yeah, that's the Tasmanian handshake. Yeah.
Welcome.
And then number 2, I would probably say would be like the Red Centre, maybe / the Outback. Everybody that goes to Australia really should at least try to go to the Outback at least once. And going to Uluru and Kings Canyon and Alice Springs is just fucking beautiful. It's a crazy long drive to get there, like literally middle of nowhere. There's another town there called Cooper Pedy, which is like maybe 1,000 people, and they all live in a hole in the ground basically. Because it's so hot, they had to dig their houses in the ground. Really bizarre, but yeah, cool place. The stars at night are fantastic. You see a lot of cool wildlife out there. We saw dingoes and emus and camels and stuff like that.
Wow. And
yeah, and just being in that sort of isolation is really cool too. Like, never really been anywhere like that. Even in like northern Canada, I've never been that isolated, I don't think, as I have been in the Outback in Australia.
Cool.
And then what was that, 2? Okay, so number 1, a lot of Aussies probably gonna hate on this too, but it's my favorite. I fucking loved it there. It would be the Blue
I thought
Mountains.
you were gonna say
So just
Surfer's
outside of
Paradise.
Sydney. No, not Surfer's Paradise. Yeah, Blue Mountains. It's really accessible. You don't even need a car to be in there. Like, not a lot of hiking regions in the world you can do a lot of hikes without having a vehicle, which is nice. It's like a 2-hour train from Sydney, and there's like 3 or 4 towns you can visit. I lived in Katoomba for a while, which is known for having quite a few Bogans, but I really liked it. Some cool stuff to do there, and the scenery.
Bogans.
Okay, so Bogan would be the equivalent in Canada. We would say like maybe like a redneck or like white trash kind of people.
Yeah.
Maybe more like white trash, where like they're just like, you know, lower class society, do some dumb shit, maybe smoke a bit of meth, maybe drive a ute type of thing.
Yeah.
It can be a lot of fun though too. So yeah, that's the Aussie word for it. So yeah, there was quite a few Bogans in this town. You gotta make, like, when you're walking down the street, you don't want to make eye contact with everybody because you get, "Fuck you looking at, cunt." You get that sort of thing. But yeah, beautiful town, really cool scenery, and I love the hostel that I stayed at. It was so much fun. Like I said, like I was mentioning before, some really cool people there, and yeah, good vibes in the Blue Mountains.
I have to ask you, Brady, like, why would Australians chirp you for picking Blue Mountains as number 1? Is it just that it's like
I think that they kind of like think that there's probably better places in Australia to go, and like I said, it is full of a lot of Bogans, and some of the towns are like rough by Australian standards, which I don't really think is really that bad. But yeah, they probably would just think like, really, that place? But I mean, it's near and dear to my heart. I loved it there, so that's kind of what I would pick.
Yeah, I'm sure that they, like Australians may. It's just because it's their backyard, right? That they may not be proud of the place filled with Bogans.
Yeah,
Right?
Especially Aussies. They're pretty similar to Canadians. The young ones just don't travel domestically at all. Like, the older ones do. They do like the gray nomads, but the younger ones all fuck off to Bali or Japan to go skiing or stuff like that. So they don't have a whole lot of interest in their own country, which is too bad. But I get it. I mean, like I said, we did the same thing in Canada.
Yeah, man. Canada is, like we were just talking before the podcast here. Like, Jesus Christ, Brady's from the West Coast, the extreme west of Canada. I'm from the extreme east. And it's cheaper to just go somewhere else. Like, for Brady to come have a beer with me on the East Coast is going to cost him fucking. Gonna have to dive for like a fucking week straight at least.
Yeah,
have to do some overtime on the water.
Yeah. Yep.
So
yeah, it's like, no offense to New Brunswick, but it's like, do I go to Japan or do I go to New Brunswick?
Dude, you go to Japan.
I don't know.
I go to Japan.
That? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Not that I don't love New Brunswick, because I'm like a New Brunswick, like fucking, like, I pump it as hard as I can. I love New Brunswick.
Yeah,
I choose to live here.
For sure.
Right? I've been to a number of places, and I want to live in New Brunswick because, one, I don't like traffic. And I like people that hold doors for a ridiculously long time.
You guys are a very friendly bunch out there. Everybody always, when I meet, they're like, "Oh, aren't Canadians so friendly?" I'm like, "Yeah, out east, out west, not so much."
It's because you're in a city, right? If you're in a city, you have to commute. Yeah. There's a lot more people. You're paying a shit ton of money for rent, or like a mortgage, right? Jesus Christ, how much you're paying for $1 million home is like a shed out east, or out west. So out east, $1 million. Jesus Christ, you probably get the nicest house here.
Yeah.
But no, it's just a different parts of Canada. It's really interesting. To be honest with you, Brady, the two extremes of Canada are my favorite: the East Coast and the West Coast. The middle, you guys can fuck off. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I'm not like, sorry, Manitoba, but you're not like,
Saskatchewan's pretty flat.
The most interesting place. Saskatchewan is quite flat. Yeah.
I mean, Ontario's got the cities. Montreal, Quebec. I can't listen. I said fuck the middle. I love all Canada. You guys are amazing. All right, let's get into the story.
Story time.
So basically, my story is, anybody is listening has worked at a hostel. They know how fucking insane it can be. Can be honestly, like, it could take a bit out of you to work at a hostel. Some of the shit that you see, some of the late nights you have are just, it's something else. I was working at a hostel in Western Australia I think I was about 19 at the time. Worked there for about a year,
Nice.
and fuck, it was called Fat Sam's Backpackers. Long gone now, but Fat Sam, he was a real person, and he was a bit of an asshole, bit of a potential
Fucking
cokehead.
Bogan.
And yeah, I remember him telling me, he's like, Brady, I don't see backpackers, I just see dollar signs. And I'm like, that's really nice.
I am a backpacker,
So I
actually.
worked there.
Fat Sam, fuck you.
Yeah. I was supposed to be the night manager, but I ended up just being like the employee. I was the only one that worked there. And he would go for like 2 weeks at a time, so I would just have to like run the hostel on my own. That being said, it was only about like maybe 20 beds, so it was a pretty
20
small
beds? That's
place.
still a lot. You gotta change the linen.
was-
You gotta
yeah,
fucking.
but I don't think we ever filled up. We would have like 10 people
Okay.
there at the most. Sometimes there was nobody, so I was just like living in a hostel alone for free.
Nice.
But yeah, I remember him telling me, he would be like, yeah, like if there's any sand in the bed or anything, like after someone's checked out, like just brush the sand out, but you don't need to change the sheets or anything. And I'm like, that's
Aw,
fucking
dude,
gross,
come on.
dude. Like someone's gonna have fucking like scabies or ringworm or some shit. So I definitely did change the sheets, but I wasn't super like attentive to the hostel. Like I remember getting told, hey Brady, like there's mushrooms growing in the shower again. You should probably deal with that. Like okay, I'll deal with the mushrooms. Sorry about
Brady's
that.
just straight selling people that are like on the fence of doing hostels.
Yeah, yeah, and it's crazy because like I would work maybe 5 hours a week to run the hostel, and
Oh,
he still
fuck.
paid me like $200 a week and free rent, and I had my private room. So I was living pretty good. I had a job on the side that I would do, and then yeah, so it was a good way to save some money up. But so, anyways, one day Fat Sam texts me. He's like, "Hey, when you get home, there's a guy you gotta check in. Whatever. He's an Aussie guy, and no offense to domestic travelers, but a lot of them can be fucking bad news. Like I've stayed in hostels in Canada, but I get why a lot of hostels don't want domestic travelers because like they're off the streets or
Yeah.
whatever. So when he said, "Oh, you got an Aussie guy coming," I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I go there and I meet the guy. He's like maybe 45 and just looked rough, just like fucking cracked out of his mind. I'm like, "Oh, this is gonna be great. You're gonna be a great addition to the hostel."
I
So
had
I'm
a
talking
great
to him
I had a great
and
time at the hostel. In the review, the atmosphere was great. Hung out with the 45-year-old guy.
Yeah.
He split his meth with me.
Yeah, pretty much. So anyways, I'm checking him in and I'm like kind of having a chat with him, and like one of the first things he says to me, he's like, "Yeah, just got a jail. I was in jail for 7 years and now I'm here." And I'm like, "That's nice. Like really happy that you came and visited us right after jail. Like 7 years, that's not nothing, you know, that's not fucking mail fraud. You obviously did some crazy shit to get 7 years."
It's not like an
So
Indonesian justice system. It's like
yeah.
a pretty fair one.
Yeah. So I was like, fuck, I don't even want to know what you did, man. Like, I didn't ask. I didn't dive any further, but he told me he got a job as a baker in town, so he's here for a bit, whatever. So, I don't know if it was the same night, but within like a night or two, I'm in my room. It's probably 11 o'clock at night, and him and another guy, one of my good friends named Felix, he's from Germany, they're watching a movie, right outside my door. And I could hear them talking or whatever, and they're watching a movie. And the Australian guy says, he's like, "Hey, like, let's turn the subtitles off." And the German guy, Felix, is like, "No, like, I don't speak English natively. Like, can we please leave them on? It's not really a big deal." And and the Aussie guy's like, "No, I don't want him on. I don't want him on." And Felix says, "Well, dude, we don't have the remote for the TV. Like, I don't know how you could turn them off anyways." And then the Aussie guy says, "Well, I'll just go wake up the manager. He'll have the remote." I'm laying in my bed thinking, "Don't fucking wake me up. Like, I don't have the remote. Leave me alone." Um, so anyways, him and Felix started getting in a bit of a fight, and Felix like walks outside to kind of cool down because he's like, "This is getting fucked up." So I open up my window that led outside, and I'm chatting. I'm like, "Man, what's going on? Like, what the fuck's happening?" And he's like, "Man, this guy's being crazy. He's being a fucking dick. Like, he wants to have the subtitles off, and it's not really a big deal." I'm like, "Yeah, I agree with you. It's not a big deal at all." So anyways, I was chatting with him and I decided to come outside. So I climbed through my window that led outside. And as I climbed through my window, I guess my curtain rod kind of fell off and it made like a ding ding sound on the ground because of the hardwood floor. And the Australian guy who's still sitting inside watching TV. I guess he has like prison brain, and when he hears a noise like that, he like fucking snaps. So he goes in the kitchen and he grabs like a big fuck off knife, like a huge chef's knife, and he's like, "You fucking cunt's got a weapon?" And me and Felix see him through the fucking glass door, like, holy shit, this guy's got a fucking knife. And he like starts walking to us, and me and Felix are like, okay, fuck this. We immediately like run onto the road. Like, I'm not gonna be a hero. They do not pay me enough. I don't care about these people inside.
Fuck you,
I'm
Fat
sorry,
Sam.
you're on your own. So he's like wandering around the hostel, basically like holding like 6 to 7 people hostage, somewhat
What?
unknowingly. And yeah, like, 'cause we didn't want to go in there. He's just like patrolling the fucking hostel with a big fucking knife. And yeah, I felt bad for everybody who's in the room, but like, I'm not gonna save you. Fuck that.
Did you still win
They
Employee of
don't
the
pay me enough
Month?
for that shit. Yeah, well, considering I was the only one. So anyways, we ended up calling the owner, which was a great call to make. Like, hey, there's a guy running around with a fucking knife in your hostel. And we called
At the
the
time, how
police,
many people
and the
were
police,
in the hostel?
I would say there was probably about me, Felix, and then maybe 7 more. So there's about 9
Oh
of
my
us.
god.
And everybody was like a long termer. I knew everybody there. Most people were asleep, I think. I don't know if they really knew what was going on, that there was a guy standing outside their doors with a fucking knife. Um, so we called the police. We wait a bit. The police come. They talk to him. And then they came back and they talked to us. And they basically said, like, well, he said you guys have a weapon, so there's not really much we can do. And I'm like, you're gonna fucking believe this guy over me? Like, dude, why would I want to, like, why would I have a weapon? Why would I want to insult this guy? I'm fucking 19 years old from Canada. Like, I'm
You're a
not gonna
foreigner
do
though.
anything. Yeah. So anyways, they basically said, they're like, well, we can't really do anything, and you guys can kick him out of the hostel if you want, but like we can't like put him in jail or anything. I'm like, all right, well, fuck. So he was a baker starting a shift at like 2 a.m. anyways, so he basically had to leave anyways. And we kicked him out, and later he came, picked up all his shit, and we got in a bit of a tussle with him. And
Jesus Christ.
yeah, it was fucking wild. I ended up seeing him on the street about 5 months later. I was just walking down the street. I make eye contact with him, and he's looking rough. Like, doesn't look like he slept since the last time I saw him. And and I like kind of make eye contact with him, and I'm like, fuck, I hope he doesn't recognize me. And next thing you know, he just starts like unleashing on me, just like the craziest insults, like starts going off, yelling all this crazy shit at me, like right in the downtown main street. And like everybody was watching while he's just going off of me, and I like kind of put my head down, like duck around the corner because I don't want to fucking deal with that shit.
Fuck.
So yeah, that was pretty much my little saga with the crazy knife wielding hostile guy, and that's just like one out of many fucking things that happened there, man. Like I have a photo I can send you of me one night. I woke up in my bed, and Felix and his German buddies had like stole the neighbor's chickens and put them all over my room. So I had to like at like 6 a.m. I was all hungover, like running around my room trying to fucking catch chickens and like having to hop the fence to put them back in the neighbor's fucking chicken coop. Like it was a crazy time. Like I don't have any regrets, but I don't know if I'm probably a bit past that in my life now. It was a lot of fun though.
So the old guy, did he leave a good review or?
We weren't even online. Like our hostel was not on hostelworld or booking.com. You basically just had to like show up and hopefully I was there and then you could get in. Otherwise you're on your own.
Fuck. So like what was people's reactions the next day when they found out about the cops coming, and were they just like, yeah, we're out of here?
No, everybody stayed. I mean, everybody was pretty chill. I was just nervous he was like gonna come back and do some crazy shit, but thankfully that didn't end up happening. But everybody was, from what I can remember, was like shocked. But yeah, it didn't scare anybody away because most people that were there were working, so they didn't really have anywhere else to go.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess I didn't think Australia was that dangerous. Holy fuck! No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, that was a fucking wild place. Even just talking to other people now who work at hostels, like I always try to exchange stories, and some of the ones that people give me are just fucking batshit insane. Like,
yeah,
a 22-year-old shouldn't be dealing with this kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm sure you're not surprised, but like, you're actually not the first time. It's not the first story I've heard of a hostel being held up.
Oh yeah, really? Actually, that's crazy.
Yeah, that one was it was in Brazil, but it's a fucking crazy one. It's Yeah, near death, just kind of like yours. So it's fucking crazy.
Holy shit.
Maybe something that you know, if you're considering to work at a hostel, just to, you know, you do get all sorts of people. You're at a lower price point. Can be dangerous, folks.
Yeah, definitely. You get some people who use it as like a shelter, and like no offense to them, but sometimes they can bring a bit of trouble.
Sure. I mean, something fell to the ground, and this guy was like, "All right, well, I got to pull a knife now. I got to create a shank."
That's what 7 years of prison does to you, I guess, which is fucked. But
yeah. But anyways, Brady, listen, that was fucking sweet, man. I really loved having you on. I guess last question for you.
Thanks. I had a lot of fun.
Last question for you. What's next for you? You're in New Zealand now. What's next? Any travel in your horizon?
Yeah, so now that I bought this car that I'm currently sitting in, I hope to cruise around the country a bit. I am kind of here, like I would say 51% here for work, 49% for travel. Nice. So it is kind of like I am kind of here to make a little bit of money and kind of work in my industry a bit. But when I'm on my free time, which should be quite a bit, I hope to see at least a good amount of New Zealand, and then other international stuff from here for sure in the next 2 years, but I'm not really sure when. Philippines is on my list. I haven't been there. Maybe Fiji.
Nice.
See a bit more of Southeast Asia, maybe Vietnam. I haven't been there either, so that'd be cool.
Nice. Vietnam, I'm sure you've heard in our episodes, home of it almost retired the Q&A question. Where did you find your cheapest wine?
The cheap beers.
Right? You got to do the beer street or whatever it's called there.
Yeah, for sure. No, it looks beautiful too.
Yeah, listen, man. Brady, you came on. You hit us up in the comments. You're like, hey, I have a great. You guys should have me on. Listen, man. I really liked this episode. I thought it was fucking awesome. I want you back. So listen, let me know when you're available next.
I got lots of stories,
and I'm sure people will love to hear more stories from you because that was awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I would love to come back, and I'll the one that we hinted at before, I can maybe drop that one.
Yeah, maybe tell us about your diarrhea chronicles or something.
That one's not as PG-13 as this one was. That one's a bit more 14A or whatever.
Okay. All right, buddy. Take care. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, man.
All right.
Thank you for listening to Two Beers Till Takeoff. Do you want free additional content or just to stay connected with the show? Then give us a follow on our social media platform. That means TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all of them. Are you in need of podcast production services, video editing, or anything in between? Then look no further than Strut Sound Productions, the official producer of the Two Beers Till Takeoff podcast. Music produced by Alex Gagne. Check out his work in our show notes. Voiceover done by Viking Leo K. See you next week on Two Beers Till Takeoff.